Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is HowFast. Today we're going to start fabbing up the motor mounts for Dodgey's engine. But before we get started doing that, we had a friend of ours suggest to us that maybe we should show a little bit of love to some of the subscribers and members of the HowFast family, you guys, and maybe some of your builds. So I thought that was a great idea, and the first person I could think of who I'd like to nominate for this would be our friend John Ramos. Here's a picture of John rocking his McCullough 18 shirt, and also you can see here's his truck that he's recently bought. He's got a little bit of work done to it, which you can see I've listed here. Also, you know what I'll put is I'll put his Instagram handle here. You guys can get in touch, check him out. He's a really good guy, really loving member of the HowFast family. So I want to give a little love to John. Thanks, John, for all your support. We really appreciate it. And if you're wondering how you become a member of the HowFast family, it's simple. All you got to do is look down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified, and watch the videos. If you want, it'd be great. Pick up a sticker for your car. We got vinyls, we got fridge magnets or toolbox magnets and t-shirts. Look, there's tons of t-shirts right here. If you guys want some, go to howfast.ca, click on the link down there, and get yourself a t-shirt. So I'm going to grab some cardboard. We'll do a little cardboard aided design and figure out exactly what shape these things need to be to hold the engine right where it is right now. Let's get started. Alright, I'll catch you guys up on what I'm thinking about how I'm going to make this work. So what I've done is I cut some pieces of cardboard out. Basically, I'm just mimicking this tube we're going to use. And I've got the same basic dimensions, but I've left this end open because I know in here, I know these should fit nicely in between the frame and the block, and I should be able to put this in here and bend this whichever way at whatever point that it needs to bend at, and figure out exactly how we're going to cut this tube to fit in there really nice. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit. I'm going to set up the GoPro over there. Hopefully it'll catch some of what I'm struggling with here, but I mean there'll be a lot of guesswork at first, but then I'll get it refined down to a good shape, and then we'll just transfer that onto the tube and we'll cut the tube, and with any luck it'll fit right up in there. Okay, so you can see where this thing's hitting. I mean, the problem I'm having here is the frame rail runs down here, and I have this piece here that was something existing. Now, I don't really have a problem with this piece. I mean, other than, like if I were to cut it off here, I probably would. I don't have a problem with it being there. In fact, it gives me something nice to weld against. The problem is when I put this in here, which is where it has to go. I mean, it can't go any further forward and it can't go any further back. It's kind of landing about a quarter of the way through this bolt, and that would mean I'd have to kind of like cut a recess in this to get around that, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So the other option is we could run this tube this way, and we put the angle on this side, and we would run it in there, and that would allow us to kind of tuck it over a little bit further. But then what that creates, if you can imagine, is like a gap in between this tube and that piece, which is going to be impossible to weld without me removing this piece, and I don't want to do that. That's a big chunk of metal in there. Decisions, I tell you. Okay, I'm going to think about something different. I'm going to try to go attack this a little different. By the way, guys, here is the LS2 tank that I was referring to. So it's obviously a much lower profile. I think this is with these tanks. This is the front side of the motor here, and what we have on ours over here, the sump is back here, and it dips down very low. I would say the truck one comes to like a profile something like this, and then dips down very low over here. Whereas this one is probably, I'm going to say 2 or 3 inches, 2 inches probably shorter than that. And I mean, it's got some good baffling in it. We have the pickup and everything, so I think this will work. I'm gonna just confirm, talk to Randy, see what he thinks, and we're probably gonna put that one in place of this. It seems there's enough room around the K member too, so it'll be close, but it should fit down there. So we'll probably use this one here. Okay, fellas, I slap on it. I'm gonna run the these the way we had originally spoke about, and I'm gonna notch them out for that bolt so that we can get access to it, because any other way requires a lot of cutting or a lot of massaging, and I don't really want to do that. Easy peasy is what I want to go for. So this would be a lot easier to mess around with this thing outside of the car than cutting all these out of there. So I've got the chop saw from my dad. I'm going to mark this thing up, and I'm going to cut the first one. So the first one, what we're going to do is we're going to get the first one cut to the size we think it's going to be. We're going to take a couple measurements here off of a couple spots on the chassis, you know, to the head, you know, from a couple different directions, so that we can kind of pinpoint exactly where this engine is in the space of the engine bay. And then what we can do is we're going to pull the engine out, and we're going to get in here, and we're going to cut this off. We're going to grind all of this flat in here, and then we'll be able to put the engine back in and see how that engine, how this arm that we're going to cut is going to fit in there. So let's get started on that right now. In that general area right there. So I'm going to now pick the engine back up. I'm going to put it back in there, right back where it was, and then we're going to see if we can slide that piece in and see how far off we are. I totally expect this to need some still more massaging, come back out again, but first go around, generation 1 for the mount. Let's give it a go. Alright guys, I got the engine back in. That was a lot harder than I expected it was going to be to get it right back into that same spot. A lot of figuring and finagling, but I've got I got the laser running through the pinion, through the tailstock, through the center of the crank pulley, and all the measurements add up to the exact same spot. I've got it hanging here, is right where it needs to be. I did make a trim on this. If you look at it, it's obviously got a different angle on it now. I had it way too sharp, but now with this angle, it seems to fit in here. Right there, really nice. A little bit off, you know, not bad though, really. So I'm going to mark where this one, I'm going to clean this all up. I'm going to mark where this goes on that plate. And we're going to pull that plate off and tack this on. Yeah. there it is. In, I just bolted up with 2 bolts, but I mean, it's in there exactly where I wanted it to be, fitting exactly how I hoped it would, right on the measurement, and nothing has moved, nothing has changed. You can see down here, there's the laser line right down the center of the bell housing. So we are in good shape, boys. Number 1 mount is mocked up, just tacked, but I'm going to clean up the other side of it, pull it out, clean up everything, and then I'm going to clean up this side of it, and I'm going to final weld this side in so that we can put the engine in and bolt it to this and know that the engine is not changing. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to final weld this. I'm just going to tack this one in right now where it is, and that should hold this thing in place so that we know we can take the engine out and put it back in for the driver's side mount. So I'm going to pull this out, clean it up, put it back in, tack it in, then we can start on the driver's side. Alright, driver's side here. I just grabbed a piece of angle iron and just tacked it in there onto the motor mount. So now the motor mount is disconnected from the block, or the plate, I'm sorry, is disconnected from the block, but it's floating in there right now. So I'm going to very carefully, again, pull the engine out. This way I can actually get in here and size this one up. The other side was a bit easier, but this one is going to end up in a really tight spot with the steering coming through here. I'm going to pull the motor out, and I'm going to kind of size this one up from inside, because now we know where the engine's going to go. It bolts into the other side, so should be easy enough to figure out where this one goes. I have this one made up. You can see I had to put a notch. I don't know if you guys can see all the way down there. I had to put a notch in that one because we were basically right over where the bolt would be, and the only place that this mount was going to go. But I notched that out. The bolt fits. You can get to it with a wrench. Okay, I'm going to throw a couple tacks in the driver's side, and then I'm going to unbolt the motor mounts, and I'm going to try and lift the engine up and see if I can get it out around those plates, because it's an awful tight pinch down there. You know, I'm surprised. I'll be surprised if it'll come out with the motor mount. So I'm gonna throw just a couple tacks in there just to make sure that one stays in, and we're gonna try and pull this thing up. Alright, I've thrown some pretty substantial tacks in and around here. I'm sure those will hold the engine up. The plates are completely welded all the way around. But I think that for these welds to the frame, I think I need a little bit more power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the old buzz box here. This is 220 stick. And I'm going to pull the engine out again and do all around here, and we're also going to add a little kicker on the bottom, like an outrigger from the bottom side of the tube that we've just put in down to an arm that's down here below. You guys can see it down there. So what we're going to do is on both sides there, we're going to put a little crutch that's going to make these things even stronger than they are now. So I'm sure once I weld that up, it'll be strong, but we'll put that little kicker in there. That should make those extra strong. So I'm going to set the engine down now here on the mounts as they sit tacked in. I'm sure they'll hold the weight of the motor, and then I think I'm going to call that a win for today. All right, guys, we're going to let it down under its own power now here, so it's going to take the weight of the motor for the first time. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that suspension squat down real good. Oh, wow. Really squat down there. Definitely good we're switching that oil pan. Man. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's about an inch and a quarter of clearance. Maybe an inch and a half of clearance. And that's without, a turbo and intercooler and all that stuff. So we're definitely switching the oil pan. But there it is. The motor is officially sitting inside Dodgey under its own weight. So I'm gonna pull these off and step back and look at all our hard work. I know you guys have been looking at this view a lot this entire episode, and I know it doesn't really probably look like much has changed, but in fact really something has. It's major. You know, the fact that there isn't this crane over here holding this engine in here and it's sitting in here under its own power, it's actually a really big deal. It was kind of ominous. I was kind of worried about the task, but really, you know, a little bit of math, a lot of thinking, a lot of time, a lot more thinking, and building some things twice if needed. The engine is in there exactly where I wanted it, where I planned for it to be. So super excited about that. I want to remind you guys, like, subscribe, comment, and share if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. We have obviously LS build stuff. We have how-tos on cars. We have kid stuff, and we have local events, car shows, and race days, and all sorts of car stuff because we're car guys just like you. And again, I wanted to say a big thank you to all you guys who are subscribers. Any of you guys have brought merch. So remember, if you guys haven't picked up any of our merch, make sure you do that. You can go to howfast.ca. You can pick up a t-shirt or a sticker or a magnet, and you know, send us a picture of it. Send us a picture of yourself, your build. We'd love to show it. We'd love to showcase you and show everybody here, you know, another member of the HowFast family. So we'll catch up with you guys next time, find out how fast we can make this car go.